Hello everyone and welcome to game 3 or excuse me, game 4 in a series between Violet versus the Muslim here on Shattered Temple. The Muslim spawning as the blue Terran player here at the 9 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Violet spawning here as the red Zerg. This was taken from IEM San Paulo, as it looks like these players have been pretty good mannered with each other. I guess Evil Genius always not living up to their name, but we'll talk about that a little bit later as we now get this game underway. Violet will be able to quickly scout his opponent, and based upon the close or the semi-close rush distances here on Shadow Temple, I'm interested to see what is actually going to go down in this matchup. You can see a front door supply depot now going to be established here by Demuslim. We've seen the strategies, we've seen the builds coming out from Demuslim, and his style seems to really like Hellions, Siege Tanks, and Thors. We'll see if that trend does continue or if he will go back more into the typical Terran bio with Siege Tanks, and whether or not that will have any true effect on the game, as we now see a SCV wandering around here and not quite sure why he's doing this. Drone now making its way up. It looks like this SCV is going to perhaps try to set up some sort of proxy barracks or do some sort of crazy build opening, as the SCV now makes its way down and across the center. This is to make sure that this SCV is not revealed by this Zelnaga tower here, and if a proxy barracks is established, the Muslim may be able to get the jump on his opponent. And yes, it is going to be a proxy racks here, as we now see Violet looking and chasing after this SCV. Violet should be looking to see where exactly or when exactly a refinery is going to be placed down, and he's not going to see one. But because of the Muslim's rather strange build order, he may not expect that there is a barracks off over here. We can see that there is an extractor pool now being established, so Violet deciding to not be overly aggressive in terms of his expansion, as the one drone now is looking for a proxy barracks. This drone will come back off over here. It looks like it will find this barracks here in just a moment. Violet was looking for it. Oh, it did not spot it. Yes, he will spot it now, right as the barracks is being completed. Zerglings are now going to get trained. Drones are now making their way over, as we'll see whether or not this barracks does any sort of real damage. The Muslim is already upgraded to an orbital command at his at his main base. No natural expansion as of yet. Roaches are now being added, as the SCVs are just being forced to pull back, and it looks like the Muslims' very aggressive proxy racks is not going to do much of anything, as the barracks are now simply floating away. The Muslim sitting on 2 barracks off of 1 base, no gas so far, getting up a second command center now, and he's going to have a very difficult time trying to hold off against a large swarm of roaches. He will need a bunker. If he does not have a bunker, he will be hurting for quite some time. The supply depot does need to raise up. There he goes, the Muslim now raising up that supply depot there, as the barracks now doing a bit of blocking instead. So the barracks now going to block this one drone from being able to build a hatchery, and that is going to actually put Violet very far behind, as he's going to have to perhaps try to expand into this location, not be able to transfer as many drones over, and delay him even further. You can see that the barracks is currently just sitting off over here, enjoying itself. We can see a hatchery now being built off at the 3 o'clock location, not the typical location that he wants to see, as we now see I could have sworn I saw a Roach Warren, and that may have been canceled. So Violet may have canceled the Roach Warren and then expected, oh, what is going to happen here? There is going to be 1 Zergling now down over here. The barracks may try to land off again. This hatchery is more than a third of the way completed, as we are now going into Reactor Hellions. We can see that the Marines are ready to stop any Zerglings that try to make their way in. Metabolic boost about to be completed. The barracks is still floating high above, and the Muslim has to be curious about what's going on. You can see an evolution chamber is now being added, perhaps for the level 1 attack upgrades on those Zerglings. I mean, he does not really spot anything that would indicate Banshees anytime soon, so I can't imagine him trying to go for a Spore Crawler just quite yet, as a hatchery is finally placed down here. This hatchery about to be completed, as the barracks now making its way over, and will the Muslim get curious about this hatchery. Overlord now trying to make its way in, and it will quickly get shot down as well by a squadron of Marines. The barracks off over here going to take some damage from the queens, and the barracks may actually fall to these queens. The queens do have very high damage per second when attacking, so 9 damage per second, and now being forced to pull away. If you're not quite sure, a stalker only has 10 damage per second, so that is why the queens are so effective right now at shooting down this one barracks. Drones now being transferred off into this location. Demuslim, though, with a 44 to 54 advantage in terms of food. Meanwhile, Violet is actually behind 28 drones to 31 SCVs, and there are also 2 mules in play, as we are now going very heavily into a very heavy factory play. Hellions still being added off over here. That is going to be a large amount of Hellions to try and take down these Zerglings. The sheer number of Hellions should help them out here. Simply too many Zerglings to deal, or too many Hellions to deal with, as the Hellions now making their way down south to perhaps torch some of this. But now the Hellions curious about what was going on based upon the expansion timing and sees this. Drones are now all going to get roasted here. 2 drones already down, a 3rd drone now down, and more drones may fall. The drones are going to have a very, very bad day. Zerglings getting toasted as well, as the Hellions are now preventing any true mining off at this second base. So the Hellions keeping the drones at bay, but the spine crawler really preventing the Hellions from really making a move out, and now going to go after more drones. Yes, another 2 drones were taken out. Zerglings now going after those Hellions. The Hellions have been taken care of, but more Hellions can still be added, and you see up to 6 Hellions now, and Blue Flame Tech. Blue Flame Tech still needs about another 40 seconds in order to be completed, but as soon as you get Blue Flame Tech, all of those Zerglings are going to have a very, very nasty surprise, getting one-shotted, or two-shotted, but the Zerglings do have armor upgrades, so I'm trying to do my math for you right now. 14, 19, 18, yes, still enough to one-shot or two-shot, 1 round of attack from 2 Hellions, as the Zerglings are now backing off into this corner right here. The spine crawler is in the process of rooting. Are the Hellions going to perhaps be able to make it by? And yes, it looks like it will be able to do exactly that, as the Blue Flame Tech does complete. All the Zerglings are now trying to go up against all of those Hellions. The Hellions now really just pushed up into a corner. More Zerglings have been destroyed. All of those Zerglings have fallen. And now we see 36 drones compared to 42 SCVs. The Muslim, though, still feeling very confident, as more Zerglings need to be retrained, while a new batch of Hellions is already underway. Now, we are going into more Hellions still. No siege tech as of yet. Hellions now doing a drop off over here, getting in a bit more worker kills. 54 to 76, 42, and now you can see that the medevac may end up losing all of those Hellions. Another Hellion gets taken out, as the Queen now trying to engage. The Hellions going after the Queen going after the medevac. It looks like the Queen will win out on this fight here, as more Zerglings now make their way off over here. So the Muslim constantly hitting in multiple locations, as Violet now down to 29 drones compared to 44. The Hellions look to perhaps be doing a nice regroup. Level 1 weapons upgrade about to be completed, or will be completed in about 3 minutes time, as the Zerglings now going after Hellions again, and all of those Zerglings are falling. So Violet is in trouble, as he is behind by 30 food and still dropping, as he needs to get roaches. That cancellation of the roach warren earlier, a definite issue, as now we see the Hellions trying to run in, able to get off some drone kills. There you go, more drones now just falling. Hellions going up against all of those drones. There are some Queens as well. The Hellions going to finish off all these drones here. 2 more drones left, 1 more drone left, and it looks like the Zerglings will fall as well. Harvester count now down to 28 compared to 48. The Muslim still training up even more. He needs to get more gas if he wants to try to balance things out just a little bit, perhaps going into siege tanks or even heavy Thor play, as we see a lot of tech labs. He can even transition into very heavy siege tank play now. He has the gas to do it, as the barracks still doing more scouting. Hatchery upgrading to tier 2, about halfway done. We'll see what's going to happen here, as Hellions are now on the field. 1 spine crawler and only 1 spine crawler here, so this front door is pretty much wide open as well. Roach is trying to go after more of these drones, going to get torched again, and so many units have fallen already. Level One weapons upgrade about to be completed. Hellions now trying to push their way up the ramp. Going to be able to finish off even more drones again. And now looking to deal more damage once more. Hellions just suiciding themselves into this base, into this camp. And it looks like the rest of these Hellions will get taken out. But the damage has already been done. 21 workers compared to 56. Blue Flame Hellions making a very strong comeback. Siege tanks and now very heavy Thors coming out into the field. Level 1 weapons upgrade already on those Thors. And with more Thors being trained still, I believe he can train about 2 Thors a minute now, based upon the 2 bases that he's running on. Perhaps 3 if he does take this destructible rocks, or take out the destructible rocks and establish this gold. Now, the command center should be upgrading to a planetary fortress a little bit later, but the Hellions once again come back here and deal more damage to the economy line. So far, Violet has not had an answer to all of these Hellions. He needs to invest very heavily into roaches, and if he does invest heavily into roaches, as long as he has enough in numbers, he should be able to deal with these Thors as well, as long as they are not too upgraded. The roaches so far on the field are only upgraded 0-1, soon to be 1-1, but the Thors, in their sheer numbers and their superior range, may be able to take down 2 to 3 units before time even comes. Now you can see the Hellions making their way into the gold, or this mineral patch again. More and more drones getting taken out, and wow, it looks like Violet just really taking very, very hard hits here, as Violet now finally chasing after those Hellions. Glial reconstitution about to be completed. And with Glial reconstitution and the fast movement speed, it looks like the Muslim is going to be bringing in SCVs on auto repair in order to fight out. You can see the Overseer now down to 93 hit points, going to fall very quickly. Just needs perhaps 1 or 2 more shots. There it goes. And you can see this group of Thors and Hellions, 1 medevac as well. What is going to happen here? Siege tank does not have siege tech, does attack very quickly though. Hellions now going to drop inside the main base again. The Muslim quickly unloading those Hellions here, as now the front door has a whole bunch of Thors. 7 Thors now pushing here. The Spine Crawler gonna quickly fall. Violet does not have enough units. His army is simply too small, as you now see more and more units falling apart. And there you go. Violet, I believe, will be giving the GG here. Roaches able to take down 1 Thor just because of numbers, but the Roaches haven't really been able to attack anywhere else. Harvester count, or harvesters killed, 71 versus 15, and the Thor is still marching up this ramp. The Roach is going to try to engage, and here you go. Here's the final battle. The Thor down to 200 hit points already. SCV is now coming over to repair, and I believe that will be the GG. And now we will be going into Game 5. So Game 5 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.